morning.
Good morning, Mohuya ma'am. We can start, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So, dear participants, our next session is on the topic thinking and emotional intelligence. So the speaker we have for this topic is Professor Mohuya Chakraborty, who is Dean, Professor, and HOD of CSC and Head of HRDC at IIM Kolkata. Ma'am has done her BTech and MTech from the Institute of Radio Physics and Electronics from Calcutta University, and she has received the PhD in the field of mobile computing and from Jadavpur University. Ma'am has 4 patents on her name and 80 research papers in a reputed international journals and conferences, which is a huge count. Ma'am has received CMI level 5 in management and leadership certification from London. Ma'am has worked as master trainer of UKIERI, which is UK India Education and Research Initiative. Ma'am is recipient of several awards, and the few are Rashtriya Gaurav Award, Certified Microsoft Innovative Educator, and she has been selected for Research Excellence Award by Institute of Scholars. So I guess the whole session will be having a less time if we will go through the whole alma mater of ma'am. So let's start with the session. Ma'am, I Sneha VK. I welcome you on behalf of organizing committee. Please start.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Shujata. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm really honored to be part of this Atal FDP organized by your organization. And let me share my screen.
Yes, ma'am. I'll stop sharing.
Yeah.
Just a second. Please, ma'am.
Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am. It is moving. Yes, it's there.
Okay. So today I will be speaking on thinking and emotional intelligence. As you know that this basically is a non-technical topic, and I'm a hardcore engineer and have never been able to learn this subject during my BTech days or MTech days or even when I was doing my PhD. But really, I was fortunate enough to come across the term.
Ma'am, just to tell you one thing, sorry to interrupt. We have the diversity of participants, so you can go with this non-technical topic. We have few from management as well. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for the information.
Yes.
So, I was I never learned this topic or this subject during my BTech days or MTech days or even during my PhDs. But I was really fortunate enough, to come across the term emotional intelligence. In short, this is called EI, or we also call it EQ or emotional quotient. During my CMI certification of level 5 in leadership and management that I completed few years back from UK, London. And immediately I fell in love with it. The more I learned about it, the more I valued it. I could see my own self being portrayed before my eyes. I could determine my weaknesses and strengths. Since then, I have been working hard to improve upon my weaknesses and to enhance my strengths to become successful in life. I have noticed from my long-term experience in industry as well as in academia. I have been in academia for almost 22 years, and I have a total experience of almost 26 years. That this emotional intelligence competencies are 2 to 3 times more prevalent among distinguishing competencies such as core competencies, like functional competencies and cross-functional competencies that we really must have to be successful in life in whatever field we are. This emotional intelligence competency must be combined together with other competencies like core competencies for jobs of all kinds. So this emotional intelligence and thinking, it plays a very important part in our everyday life, including our home, including our friends, including our social circle, as well as our workplace. Now, as we rise higher up in position in our workplace or in any organization, our EI obligation also increases. So let me start with this positive mind, positive vibes, and positive life. You can see here this picture. There's a man, and there are full of positive thoughts going on in the mind of this person. Like failure is an opportunity to grow, growth mindset. I can learn to do anything I want. Challenges help me to grow. Like this, I like to try new things. So you can see that these are all the sentences that are very positive. So always we must be we must have this positive vibe. Actually, you can be in an environment which is having a positive vibe. And if you are that person who is throwing this positive vibes throughout this environment where you will definitely lead a positive mind and also help in the growth of that particular environment. So with this thought, let me start with some emotional intelligence quotes. Daniel Goleman said, "What really matters for success, character, happiness, and lifelong achievements is a definite set of emotional skills."
Hello.
Hello.
Ma'am, yeah, ma'am, sorry. Ma'am,
Yes.
have you changed the slide because we are still seeing
Yeah,
the
I have
first slide?
changed the slide. Can't you see?
No, ma'am. There is one. Yes,
So
it is.
let me keep it like this then. If you cannot see it, let me keep it like this. Can you
Oh,
see now?
yes, we can see now. And ma'am, also can you put it
Okay,
in a slideshow mode?
okay, let me check it out. Mm, Actually, I have shared it, but I have shared this screen. What will I do now?
Ma'am, the screen is visible and the second slide is also visible. You can
Yeah,
just click on the slideshow.
yeah, I have clicked on the slideshow. Can you see? Can you
No,
see?
the
Has it?
slideshow has not started.
Yeah, that's why I'm wondering why it has not started.
Let it be. This will also do. No
Yeah,
problem.
ma'am. That is
Okay,
also fine.
okay, then I'll start with this.
Yes.
So let me start with some emotional intelligence quotes. Like Daniel Goleman said, "What really matters for success, character, happiness, and lifelong achievements is a definite set of emotional skills." That means your emotional quotient, or we call it EQ, not just purely cognitive abilities that are measured by conventional IQ test. So long we have been learning about intelligent quotient. So what level of IQ you have? So previously, this organizations, the recruiters used to hire people based on their IQ. But right now, this EQ has to be combined with IQ. So EQ is not different, but it has to be combined with IQ. So for our organization also, I can tell you that I am also a recruiter, and I am in the recruitment team. As you can see, I'm the head of the HRDC. So we go for recruitment in various universities and organizations or institutes to hire professors, assistant professors, and associate professors. There, we keep a test of psychometric test, and together with an aptitude test and emotional skill test. So that, along with the technical interviews, we select the person. So nowadays this skill is very much important for all of us. Even if you are hired, in order that you are there and you remain there, you have growth in that organization, you must inculcate in yourself this emotional skills. Now, this David Caruso said that it's very important to understand that emotional intelligence is not the opposite of intelligence. It is not the triumph of head over heart over head. It is the unique intersection of both. As I said, it's not only the brain that is working, it is not only the heart that is working. You must have a unique intersection of both. So IQ together with EQ will make you a better person, will help you to be successful in life. So accordingly, We are constantly dealing with people around us. You may say that this emotional intelligence, why it is needed for us. Mainly, I will be speaking on emotional intelligence from the perspective of leadership. You may say that I'm not a leader. I'm not the principal of the college. I'm not the dean. I'm not the head of the department of my organization. So why is emotional intelligence required? I'm not a leader. But you must remember that all of you who are present here, you are all teachers. So being a teacher means you are leading somebody. In your class, you are the leader, and your students are your followers. So it is very much required that a leader or a teacher has some sort of emotional intelligence. Basically, we are constantly dealing, this was just an example, but other than in the classroom, we are constantly dealing with people around us, and as such, we are expected to be leaders. This is because through our words and actions, we need to encourage and motivate people around us and perform our duties. These people may be students, as I said, they may be our clients if we are into any business, they can be customers, they can be your peers, they can be your supervisors, they can be family members, they can be your friends, they can be even your opponents. Like your friends, you must know how to deal with your opponents intelligently, not this IQ, but with EQ. How do we react to the changing conditions and environments around us determine our emotional intelligence? It is a framework, really, for understanding ourselves and others, and is the basis for handling our impulses, stress, responses, versus reacting in a way that is in line with the 7 habits that most effective people possess, according to Franklin Covey. You see, Franklin Covey, he proposed these 7 habits. Now, what are these 7 habits? To be proactive, to begin with the end in mind, to put first things first, to think win-win, to seek first to understand, then to be understood, to synergize, to sharpen the saw. Now, let me explain in detail what are these all about. What is the meaning of to be proactive? To be proactive is basically about taking responsibility of your life. You can't keep blaming everything on your parents or grandparents. Proactive people basically recognize that they are responsible. They don't blame genetics, circumstances, conditions, or conditioning for their behavior. They know that they choose their behavior. In a similar way, even in the workplace, you can be proactive. So you are taking responsibility. You are taking initiative of any project. So that is called to be proactive. Next is to begin with the end in mind. What is the meaning of this? Begin with the end in mind means to begin with each day, task, or project with a clear vision of your desired direction and destination. And then continue by flexing your proactive muscles to make things happen. One of the best ways to incorporate this habit number 2 into your life is to develop a personal mission statement. Each day, what I do when I first begin my day, I'm talking about my workplace. I keep a piece of paper and start writing. What are the things that I have to do? And in this way, you can just think of your entire day. So, with the end in mind, you can just begin. So, that is the meaning of beginning with the end in mind. The third habit is to put first things first. People who put first things first focus on the important and not just the urgent one. You must know which thing is important in your workplace or in your life. And you must act on priorities, plan weekly, and act daily. So you are putting basically first things first when you organize your time around the most important things and eliminate the unimportant ones. Next, we come to habit number 4. This is to think win-win. The idea behind think win-win, that is, this is habit number 4, is to have the courage to seek mutual benefit from all human interactions instead of having winners on one side and losers on the other side. You know, in our this UKD workshop, when I was selected amongst some few 2,000 people all over India. So we had these workshops in 3 different places, one in Shillong, the other one in New Delhi, and the third one in Bangalore. So we were taught these things, and we had even had a game of win-win. So that's where I learned about these things. Now, I'm so happy that after completing that course, it was a 1-year course, I'm now selected as a master trainer. And I'm training the next batch of teachers all over India. So these are the few points which struck my mind, and I'm really happy to share these things with you. The 5th habit is to seek first to understand, then to be understood. We must all be listeners first, then you can be speaker. I can understand, I can analyze myself, and being a teacher for so many years, these teachers have this habit of speaking and instead of listening. So I had this habit of speaking. Now I tried to inculcate this habit of understanding first, that is listening, and then to be understood, then speaking. So basically, it is a habit of listening to other people's ideas and feelings. It's trying to see things from their viewpoints. I listen to others without interrupting. It's about being confident in voicing your ideas then, after that. So this is a very good gesture on the part of all of us if we have to be successful in life. The 6th habit is to synergize. What is the meaning of synergizing? This means to interact or cooperate with one or more other agents to produce a joint effect greater than the sum of effects achieved separately. That means, suppose you have 2 departments and they are working separately. They are working separately towards their goals. They have this outcome. Since we are all now into outcome-based education, Department 1 has certain outcome, Department 2 has certain outcome. Let's say the outcome of Department 1 is 70% and outcome of Department 2 is 80%. So if you add those 2, you have a certain amount of outcome. Now, to synergize means to interact, to cooperate with each other, so that when the 2 departments work together in tandem, their output or outcome is more than their individual outcomes added together. So this is the meaning of synergizing. The last habit is to sharpen the saw. Sharpen the saw is about taking time for self-renewal. It makes all of the other habits possible. When you sharpen the saw, you preserve and enhance the greatest asset you have. What is that asset? It is yourself. It means having a balanced program for self-renewal in the 4 areas of your life. One, what are those 4 areas? It's physical, social or emotional, mental, and spiritual. This is about being the best you possible. So I think with this 7 habits in mind, I'm sure all of you have got some idea about what Franklin Covey had tried to analyze based on these 7 habits. Now, next, I really want to touch upon the idea of thinking. Now, what do you mean by thinking? You're thinking, I mean to say about critical thinking. And this critical thinking, is a very important part of emotional intelligence. It is the ability to access an emotional demand. And this emotional demand, you see, emotion on demand, you have to act based on the situation, as the situation demands. And this is specifically important for problem solving. Whether it is problem solving for students' assignments, whether it is problem solving in your workplace, whether it is problem solving in your home, or whether it is problem solving in your life. Wherever you go, critical thinking is very important and it helps in problem solving. Another aspect of critical thinking is the ability to regulate our emotions. So, this is another aspect of emotional intelligence. How do we regulate our emotions? Most of the time, there are various people who cannot regulate their emotions. Like if you're in a stressful moment, you show your emotions to others, but not at all times it is clear or it is advisable to show your emotions. People will think that you react too much, you overreact. So that is not at all acceptable in our society. So you must understand how to regulate your emotions. So basically, the objective of critical thinking is to analyze and evaluate an issue in order to form a judgment. So precisely, critical thinking is the intellectually disciplined process of actively and skillfully conceptualizing, applying, analyzing, synthesizing, evaluating information gathered from or generated by observation, experience, reflection, reasoning, or communication as a guide to belief and action. So you can see this overall process of critical thinking will enable you towards a better problem solving and better emotion regulation. So let's go to the next slide. Now, there are many critical thinking skills that we must understand. There are basically 7 critical thinking skills. So, applying critical thinking helps you to make decisions that require a lot of thought. Big, life changing decisions, like whether or not to make a career move, are aided by critical thinking, which encourages you to research and favor objective logic over your initial emotional response. Now, let us understand in details about these critical thinking skills. I'm sure all of you have come across these terms like analysis, interpretation, inference, explanation, self-regulation, open-mindedness, and problem solving. So analysis, interpretation, inference, and explanation are there in our research areas also. Whenever we do a research, we write a research paper, we have to perform these 4 different tasks. So let us understand in details about these skills from the perspective of emotional intelligence. So when we talk about analysis, basically we understand that this is the detailed examination of the elements of structure of something. Suppose you have been allotted a task in your workplace. So before reacting, what do? We analyze it. We analyze, that means we examine each and every element, each and every sentence of that particular task. So that is analysis. Without analysis, we cannot jump into any conclusion. Okay. The next point is interpretation. What is interpretation? Interpretation basically is the act of explaining or reframing or otherwise, showing your own understanding of something. When you analyze it, you read it line by line. Then you interpret it. Give your own reasoning to it. And basically, this interpretation requires you to first understand the pace of that particular text. Or it can also be music, it can also be any idea, it can also be any language. And then you have to give explanation of it. So this is interpretation, how you interpret. The third point is inference. This is basically drawing any conclusion. So the process of deriving the strict logical consequences of assumed premises, the process of arriving at some conclusion, that though it is not logically derivable from the assumed premises, possesses some degree of probability relative to the premises, a proposition read by a process of inference. Basically, inference means you are drawing some conclusion out of it. First of all, you get the task, you analyze it, then interpret it as per your own understanding, then you draw some conclusion. Later on, at step 4, you are giving the explanation. What explanation is this? You are explaining it in a very clear and easy to understand way. This is the act or process of telling somebody else. See, there in part 2 also you have interpretation. Here also I said that you are explaining. In part 4 also you are explaining. So these two explanations are different. In interpretation you are explaining your own self, but in part 4 you are explaining the ideas that you have interpreted in part 2 to somebody else in clear and thoughtful language. So this is the difference between these two. Number 5 is self-regulation. Self-regulation basically is the ability to understand and manage your own behavior and reactions. It helps many, for example, children, teenagers, to learn or behave well. You can get along with others and become independent. So here also in the workplace, as part of leadership, you must inculcate in yourself this self-regulation habit. These are ways to develop your own self, including how you talk, how you plan, how you solve the problem, and how you place yourself as a role model in front of the students. So that is called self-regulation. Next point is point number 6, which is open-mindedness. Open-mindedness means you're willing to consider new ideas and you are unprejudiced. That means you are open to accepting ideas from others. It's not, you're not stubborn. There are a few people, who will think that whatever they are saying is the correct one, and they do not try to accept ideas from others. So in this case, we are not respecting others' ideas. So basically, if you are into the critical thinking mind, you have to be open-minded. Last is the problem solving. It is basically the finding the solutions to difficult or complex issues. So you can see, starting from point number 1 to point number 7, when you go to problem solving, which is the major outcome of critical thinking, you have to go through all these 7 different points or steps. Next I come to the major part of emotional intelligence. Like, this emotional intelligence, basically, as I said, is a capability and is the heart of a growth mindset. You must have a growing mindset, thinking, behavior. So based on your organization, based on your home culture, based on your organizational culture, there will be different types of possibilities that will come into your life, but you must always have a mindset which is growing in nature. It will basically help you to grow the way you think and behave in the workplace. So let's concentrate on this particular figure. You see here we have a mindset here, and there are few of the sentences which are written. At the left hand side you have a fixed mindset, and the right hand side is you have the growing mindset. So what are those mindsets? Abilities or capabilities, focus, achievement, challenges, feedback, risk. So these 6 mindsets are there. Now, what are the abilities and capabilities? We know that this much of capability I have this much of capability. So that is fixed. You know what you have. But if you have a growing mindset, you can develop your capabilities. For example, you know how to swim, but can you develop that swimming capability of you to for a betterment, for a betterment? So if you have that mindset, like you can sing a song, mainly you sing in your home, but if you love that, if you love that ability or capability of yours, can you inculcate a better you in you? So that is the growing mindset. Next is the focus. For the fixed purpose, you have a certain performance level. Now, how do we learn and improve upon that performance? So that is the focus, which is a growing mindset. Next is the achievement. People have limited capabilities, and if you have a growing mindset, you can achieve unlimited achievement. Next is the challenges. You can overcome through your capability. But if you have a growth mindset, you can overcome through determination. Even if you do not have that capability, if you have the determination that I will do it, I will overcome it, then you can definitely overcome that challenge. Next is the feedback. So all of us have feedback. We take students' feedback. We have 360-degree feedback. We fill up our API or the appraisal forms. Then we get some feedback from our superiors also, and also from our juniors. Now, many a times what happens with this feedback, we try to be defensive in nature. That is a fixed mindset. We try to critically analyze it, and we think that whatever we are okay with it, and we try to defend ourselves. Suppose on a scale of 0 through 10, in my class, I have got a feedback of, let's say, 7. And the other person, my friend, has got a feedback of, let's say, 9.5. So what happens? She gets an appreciation certificate from the head of the institution. And whereas, since I have got 7, I'm called by the dean and I'm asked for my non-performance. What I do, instead of taking it positively, that I should really improve myself, I should see where I have failed, whether it is dealing with the students or whether it's my knowledge that I'm imparting to the students or anything else that I should improve upon. There are few people who will say that it is okay with me. It is okay with me. Because in my appointment letter, I have been given that in order to sustain in this organization, you must have minimum of 7 feedback, like 70% feedback. So is this a proper mindset? This is not a growth mindset. So you are critically trying to defend your own self. So you will never grow like that. But if on the other hand, you take it positively, there is so much opportunity for you to improve, and really this response is, it's curiosity. You must always know how the audience is reacting to your performance. Next is the risk, whether you are tolerant to your risk or you are averse. So again, the two types of mindset. One is the fixed mindset and the other one is the growth mindset. So we have to think what is okay with us. I'm not saying, see, for emotional intelligence, nothing is wrong with you. You are okay. But this is the nature that I'm showing you. If you think that you have to achieve that thing in your organization or in your life, you can accept it. You can accept it. You can improve upon it. Later on, I will show you how you can improve upon your emotional intelligence through 2 tests. So this session will be highly interactive and with lots of hands-on. So be prepared. I will be giving you the hands-on very shortly. So together we can fill up the forms and we can ourselves see what is our emotional intelligence level. Now, since I said that I will be dealing with emotional intelligence and critical thinking from the perspective of leadership, let me quote some of the famous quotes of Mahatma Gandhi. So he said, I suppose leadership at one time meant muscles, but today it means getting along with people. So basically, it is not power. No more leadership is powerhouse. So there is a basic difference between management and leadership, a manager and a leader. You know, so a manager is a boss, but a leader, you are following that leader. You never follow a boss. So it's very good if you have a combination of a managership as well as a leadership. Then you will be the ideal person. Aristotle said, anyone can become angry. That is very easy. But to be angry with the right person, to the right degree, at the right time, for the right purpose, and in the right way, that is not very easy. So this is the thing I wanted to explain to you. Many a times in your workplace, you will come across many situations which will make you angry. But just think before you react. It's very easy, to become angry. It's really very easy. But I'm telling you, you have to be angry. You need to show your annoyance, but not always. You must judge the place. You must judge the person. You must judge the environment, whether it is justified to be angry or not. So you are not speaking, or you're not acting, reacting from your heart. You're also using your head in that case. So as I said, emotional intelligence and intelligence quotient, they go hand in hand. So heart and head together, we must combine them together in order to become emotionally very competent. Marshall B. Rosenberg said, we are dangerous when we are not conscious of our responsibility for how we behave, think, and feel. Once it is gone, once you have spoken the word, it's out of your mouth and it's gone. You are now responsible for how you behaved in front of all the professors, or your clients, or your students. Many times, I've seen teachers who get very angry at the students if they ask questions. Suppose the teacher doesn't know the answer. You can act. It is not really possible for all of us to know all the answers that the students are asking. So you must tackle it intelligently. You must tackle it intelligently instead of getting angry. Because I've seen teachers getting angry at students. Now the students come up and say that, ma'am, this teacher is not behaving properly with us. So she could not answer our questions. So that is the reason this was a revocation. So I'm telling you, it is really not possible. If you ask me any question, it may be possible that I do not know the answer, but I should be able to handle that skillfully, and from the perspective of emotional intelligence. So these are some of the famous quotes of leadership I wanted to share with all of you. Next, I will come to this important topic. What is emotional intelligence, or EQ, all about? Basically, the ability to identify and manage emotions, both your own and those around you. So David Crusoe said, it is very important to understand that emotional intelligence is not the opposite of intelligence. It is not the triumph of heart over head. It is a unique intersection of both. I started with this quotation. So I'm emphasizing on it, because we must understand that this is not a victory of heart over head. Emotion means we are always thinking emotion comes from heart, but it's not really victory of heart over head. You have to have the combination of head as well as heart. So basically, EQ and IQ go hand in hand. So this is actually a part of a set of leadership qualities. Different personality types, intelligence, and EQ will give you some observable behaviors. And basically, it is a framework for understanding yourself and others. So in this at this phase, I will give you a task here. You see, there are basically 16 personality types. Okay. Now, I will explain the personality types later on, but before that, I will be pasting this. Okay, Professor Shujata, can I paste this on the chat box?
Sure, ma'am. Yes, please.
Yeah, so this is just a hands-on. Mm, So, have you seen all of you? So, this will not take much time.
Yes, ma'am. It's there in the chat box.
Yeah, it's
Participants, please.
7 to 10 minutes it will take, and you can see the result. I ask all of you to try this out, because this you will have fun. Really, you will have fun, and you will understand your personality type. So after you complete this, I will explain the different personality types, and you can also share with me your personality type, so that we can have an understanding. We can have a discussion on this. So I ask you to complete this. So this is now 10 minutes time.
Ma'am, participant don't need to log in for this, right? Whatever questions are visible on that page.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's just they can click this link and they can go
Yes, ma'am.
straight away. You will find it 16 personalities. You can take the test. It only takes 10 minutes. Please inform me whether you are doing it, because I don't understand.
Hello, madam. Good morning.
Hello, Professor Talele. How are you?
I'm doing good. Excited to meet you
Yeah.
and listen to you.
Yes.
I was just held up in the beginning, but I joined a little late, but I was there.
Okay. Okay.
Doing some teachers' congress in Nasik.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so the junior teacher congress. So doing some activity over there.
Okay. That's great. That's great.
Only for junior teachers.
Only for doing it.
How are you doing? How is Corona?
Corona, it's rising in Kolkata. It's rising 9,000 per day.
Yes, Mumbai is horrible now. 10,000 per day.
Yeah, in Kolkata also it's rising.
But we are in the office now.
I'm in my office. We are having the teachers are coming to college, and the students are not coming. So this whole actually in whole of January, um, so many different projects, so many different master trainer program, that UKD program is also happening now. So it will also be happening in online mode. Last in November we had in offline mode. So
Oh.
this phase we will be having in online mode for the next batch of teachers, as I was talking about. So this is the leadership and management.
Yes, yes. You always find time to do all these things, right?
I like doing these things outside my normal
Yeah.
activities.
So when Sujata Madam was looking for the potential faculty members, I recommended your name,
Yeah,
because
thank you.
although we were not physically face-to-face meeting, but through
Yeah,
Facebook, thanks to Facebook that we are connected.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Great.
Professor Shujata? Hello?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, can you see my this thing, the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Now this full screen, can you see? Can you see this?
Yes, ma'am. The full screen is visible.
Now it is visible, right? Okay.
Yes.
ବେଶୀ ପିଲା ବି ସେମିତି ଏକା ମ୍ୟାଡ଼ାମ୍। ପରେ ଅଛନ୍ତି।
Participants, kindly mute yourself.
ସବୁ ସେମ୍।
If you have any queries, you can unmute and ask. But otherwise, please mute yourself.
Anybody has finished?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, if you have finished, can you kindly share your type? Is it showing something?
Yes, ma'am. Protagonist.
Protagonist. Okay.
Yes,
Very
ma'am.
good. Very good. Very good. Anybody else? You are Uma Jaishankar. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Can you tell me what is the meaning of that protagonist?
Ma'am, I feel more on the extrovert side than on the introvert side.
Extrovert. So you are extrovert. Anything else you want to add to it?
A bit more on the sentimental side than on the practical side.
Okay. 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 Thank you for sharing.
Thank you,
Anybody
ma'am.
else? Anybody else?
Thank you, ma'am. It was very interesting to see.
Yeah, I also, when I did this, I also felt very, very nice actually to know about myself. And I'm really, still now I'm trying to improve upon my personality type. Based upon my personality, I'll tell you how to go on improving your emotionality. Anybody else has finished? I would like to get from you, because if this is highly interactive in nature, this session will be very interesting. I request. Are you Shipra Pandey? Can you unmute yourself? Can you say you are
Yes,
advocate?
ma'am. Yes,
Yes.
ma'am. Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, hello, Professor
Yeah,
Pandey.
ma'am.
Yeah, can you talk about this? What is advocate?
Means what I feel is that means I am more into judging people and analyzing things. Maybe that is what coming out of this quiz. This is what I feel.
Okay, okay. Thank you for sharing. I would like to know more from other participants as well, because this way we can carry it forward. There are basically 16 personality types, 4 different parts, and subcategories are there. So I'll be explaining that to you. So there are 16 different categories. We have got only 2 categories: protagonist and advocate. Anybody else having any other?
I got protagonist, madam.
Oh,
Protagonist.
you also got protagonist. Perfect. Very good. Very good. Anybody else having any other personality type? Please share with us so that we can have a discussion on this. Again, protagonist. So all of you are protagonists. Anup Patil, again protagonist. Architect. So Diana, can you just unmute yourself and can you just talk about your personality type? Architect. Diana.
Yeah, hello ma'am. This is Consul. Consul. I don't understand its meaning.
Okay. I'll explain. Next. Anybody else?
No idea, ma'am, how to tell, what to tell.
Architect means, what do you
Yeah,
think?
judging, thinking,
Huh?
more focused on.
Focused on thinking.
Mm.
Okay. So if anybody else wants to share, you can share. Otherwise, I will be explaining the different 16 personality types. You can match with yourself. You can see whether you belong to that category or not. Mediator. Very good. Archana mediator. Lovely. Anybody else? Just 2-3 more. We would like to have variations actually. Can you see my screen, all of you? Professor Sujata, can you see my screen? Okay. So you see the different personality types are like this. So analyst. So basically analyst and diplomats, you see, in analyst we have 4 subcategories. Like architect, somebody has written architect. Architect means, you see, from this, they have given certain categories to it, INTJ. So they have given it as INTJ. So these persons are imaginative and strategic thinkers with a plan for everything. So they logically think, they critically think, and without planning, they do not go for anything. So one of our participants is an architect. Next is a logician. This is INTP. These people are innovative inventors with an unquenchable thirst for knowledge. Basically, innovative minded. So in our organization also, we have one innovative cell. There are few students are working and few teachers are also working who have some innovative ideas, and we are giving stress on innovators. So logician, just like magician. Then we have commander. Somebody has written commander. So ENTJ again. So they are bold. You can see from the name itself, you are having a direct. You are sort of a director. You are bold. You are imaginative and strong-willed. You are leader, always finding a way or making one. So this type of people are commander. Next is, you see, debater, ENTP. These people are smart and curious. They are thinkers who cannot resist an intellectual challenge. So these 4 subcategories belong to the category of analyst. Next, we have the category of diplomats. There are also, we have 4 subcategories. One is the advocate. Somebody has got advocate. Advocate means you are quiet and mystical, yet very inspiring and tireless idealist. You are basically idealist. Next is the mediator, INFP, poetic, kind and altruistic people, always eager to help a good cause. Next, we have the protagonist. Many of you are protagonists here. ENFJ, they have their own charisma. They are basically leaders who are inspiring in nature. They are able to mesmerize their listeners. So these people are protagonists. And then is a campaigner, ENFP, enthusiastic, creative, and sociable, free spirits who can always find a reason to smile. So these people are campaigner. So this is the subcategories of diplomats. Next category is sentinels. Again, in sentinels, we have logistician, defender, executive, and consul. Logistician means you are practical and fact-minded individual, and your reliability cannot be doubted. Next is a defender, you see. Defender is ISFJ. You can find it very dedicated and warm protectors, always ready to defend their loved ones. So basically, they have shown an example of a nurse here. Executive, ESTJ, they are excellent administrators, unsurpassed at managing things or people. So these people belong to the subcategory of executive. Then we have consul, ESFJ, extraordinarily caring. These people are caring, social and popular people, always eager to help. So these categories belong to sentinels. Last, we have the explorer category, where there are 4 subcategories: virtuoso, adventurer, entrepreneur, and entertainer. From the name itself, we can understand that this virtuoso is bold and practical experimenters, masters of all kinds of tools. Adventurer, flexible and charming artist, always ready to explore and experience something new. Then we have entrepreneur, that is smart, energetic, and very perceptive people who truly enjoy living on the edge. These are entrepreneur. And entertainer, we can understand spontaneous, energetic, and enthusiastic people. Life is never boring around them. So these are the 16 personality types that they have found out, and you know where you belong. Knowing about these details, I will be sharing this PPT with all of you so that you can have a clear understanding of your own personality type. And the next, I will be talking about the various facets of emotional intelligence. Based on your personality types, you can understand what you need to improve upon, right? Okay. So here I come to this conclusion now. There are various facets, and according to Goldman, in 1996, he said that these are the 5 important facets of EQ. That is self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. So emotional intelligence is linked to leadership due to several reasons. You know, people have done substantiative research which has correlated EQ traits to leadership effectiveness. So basically, you know, some personality traits are specific to management roles, like self-motivation. And there are some traits which are important for followership. For example, empathy. From the practical perspective, you know, EQ enables us to work more effectively with others. So this is very important, that there are a number of tests that allow measurement of EQ. You can find number of websites also, so you can know from there what your emotional intelligence level is all about. I will give you some of the websites. But you know, there even though you can understand, you can get your result, but measurable EQ is not same as the displayed EQ. They measure either the traits or your ability based on the questionnaire. just like they have given you some personality traits based on the questionnaire. This are developed by some psychologists. So based on your answers, they have mapped your answers to certain level of traits, and which will enable you to become a person of that personality. So similarly, this in emotional intelligence also, it will give you either your traits or your capabilities, but in short, it will help you to understand your emotional intelligence level. Even though you may not get the exact value, but you will be able to understand. Okay, let's now see whether we can be emotionally intelligent by transforming ourselves wherever needed. For that, we need to fully understand the various facets of EQ. So basically, this EQ can be used as a reflective tool for personal development, also for managing teams within our organization, right? So I think all of us here, and basically all of you are teachers here. So basically, this is educational program. So we are dealing with our management side, we are dealing with our peers, we are dealing with the students, and even we are dealing with some of the vendors, because most of the laboratory works, and we have to deal with vendors to purchase laboratory items. Also, there are many booksellers who come to us to sell their books for library purpose and all. So how we use our emotional quotient to deal with various types of people, from management level to student level to client to peers to our seniors to our supervisors. So let's see how we can improve upon ourselves emotionally and become emotionally intelligent. So these are some of the facets of emotional intelligence. You can see here there are 5 different facets. So these are the independent facets. In independent facets, you have adaptability and self-motivation. We have the well-being factor. Here we have happiness, optimism, self-esteem. Then we have self-control factor, where we have emotion regulation, impulse control, stress management. Next, we have the emotionality factor. Under emotionality factor, we have empathy, we have emotion perception, we have emotion expression, we have relationships, right? And so these levels are actually given by some numbers. When I will give you the link, you can understand what is your number. So these levels basically depend upon your numbers, whether it is, so I'll tell you the variation, whether you are below average, average, or above average. Then we have the sociability factor. In sociability factor, we have emotion management, we have assertiveness, we have social awareness. No, so let's understand them one by one. So let's talk about independent facets. Now, independent facets basically consists of adaptability and self-motivation. Adaptability is very important in the sense how effective we are at adapting to new environments and conditions and dealing with change. This is very important. The world is going through the phase, this digital phase now due to this pandemic. We are almost 2 years into this pandemic, and you see so efficiently we have adapted to this type of teaching learning. So I'm talking to you from such a long distance, but still we are so much in touch with each other, and due to this digital linking, now we had to adapt to it. Initially, I also know that initially 2 years back, when all of a sudden we had to have a closed down lockdown, but still we had to carry on with our online teaching. So that time it was not so much popular, the Zoom, and only we had some idea about Skype. And then Zoom came in, Zoom, Google Meet, Teams, and so many different online learning platforms, and upskilling, reskilling, then various meetings, interviews, examinations, And so, and world really has changed, and we the people, we have adapted to it. So this is one of the independent facets, which is adaptability. Self-motivation, on the other hand, is the extent to which a person is driven by the need to produce the work. You know, there are few people you will find in your organization who are self-motivated. Like they do not need anything to give them some outside motivation. Like, what are the motivations we have? We have motivations of increment. We have motivations of appreciation. So when the outside force gives us these facilities, we are motivated. So this is not called self-motivation. Self-motivation, self-learner, these people are some people who can do it on their own without having that understanding that I will be getting something in return. So when I'm learning something, I'm self-motivated to be a self-learner. So these are some independent facets: adaptability and self-motivation. So you can have, so in this figure, you can see this person's adaptability is higher than self-motivation, but still you can see this is the threshold. This circle is basically the threshold. This person's adaptability is above average and self-motivation is below. You can say it is below average. Next, we go to the well-being factor. This well-being factor describes our overall well-being, and it is made up of 3 facets: happiness, optimism, and self-esteem. Happiness is how content and good we feel about the present situation. Like, few people are happy in whatever they have. Excuse me. In whatever situation they have, they feel happy about being in this world. Whatever be the environment, they are happy. And there are few people, even if you provide them all sorts of amenities, they're not happy. So happiness factor for this person, you see, it is little low. Next is optimism. So optimism is how positive we feel about the future. How positive we feel about the future. Like, you think of this corona situation. Are we feeling any optimism? Is it that this Omicron, are we really optimistic about the end of this corona? Some people are saying that this Omicron, or the new variant that has cropped up in France, is actually showing a path towards the end of corona. Slowly and slowly, this virus will become less and less reactive. Like, means its severity will be lessened, but its transmissibility will be increased. And thus, like that, it will happen one day. It will be just like ordinary flu or influenza. So how optimistic are we about our current situation? Are we really optimistic, or we feel that it is not? Think of another situation. You have a glass. There's half filled with water. How you look at it? You can say that half is empty. The glass is half empty. And you can also say the glass is half filled. So the person who is saying the glass is half filled is optimistic. The person who is saying the glass is half empty is not optimistic. So that way we can understand optimism. Next is self-esteem. Self-esteem is how confident we are and our levels of self-respect. It is about our self-confidence. Are we really competent to do this thing? What is your analysis? If you have been given a task, are you confident enough that, since you have not done the task before, this is the first time you are getting that project, are you confident enough to do the task? This is called self-esteem. Next, we come to the self-control factors. It basically describes how well we regulate external pressure, stress, and impulses. This basically consists of, you can see here, 3 facets. One is emotion regulation, one is impulse control, and the third one is stress management. For this person, all are at a very low level. You can, I just confess to you that when I did this test few years back, my self-esteem, it showed a very high value, you know, but this self-control factor showed a very low level. So that time I understood, and I even talked to my professor over there in UK. She's a psychologist, and she told me that this is your this is your result. Now you think what you want to do with this result. Nothing is bad. She said that this is not that you have to achieve that level. It is not that. Whatever you are, you are. This is you. Now you see where you want to, what you want to achieve in life. Do you think that since this portion is low, do you think that you have to work towards it for betterment in your workplace, in your life? So you can do that. So I talked to her for about 15 minutes, and really at that point of time I had this portion was low for myself, and then I did the same test few days back, and I could see, I will show you the test result also. Here I've got it with me. So it showed a better result. So I understood that I worked upon my drawbacks. If I think that that was a drawback, and I really worked upon it and to improve so that I become successful in life. Now let me tell you what are all these about. So emotion regulation, you see the first one, emotion regulation is our capacity to regulate our emotions, stay focused, and remain calm in upsetting situations. Next is the emotion impulse control. It is whether we think before we act, whether we give into urges or take hasty decisions, right? Then is a stress management. Stress management is how well we manage pressure and stresses. In your workplace, in your everyday life, you will be definitely faced with this stress. Stress of work, stress of dealing with students, stress of your children, stress of your in-laws, stress of your household chores, so many things. So how you handle those? So this is the self-control factor based on these three facets. Next, we go to emotionality factor. Emotionality factor describes our capacity to perceive and express emotions and how we use them to develop and sustain relationship with others. This is basically how we understand others' emotions and act accordingly. So this consists of four facets such as empathy, emotion perception, emotion expression, and relationships. Empathy basically is our capacity to understand other people's viewpoints and whether we take their feelings into account or not. Okay. Now, if you are the head of the department, you have to get the work done. You have to get the work done by your people. Now, you must, excuse me, you must understand how that person is feeling. If you can very well understand that, instead of pressurizing that person, you can show empathy to that person so that the person feels good and he or she feels comfortable to talk to you, and in effect they will give a better outcome. Next, you have this emotion perception. You are understanding others viewpoint. Next is emotion expression. Relationships, when we deal with relationships, it deals with our aptitude to forge and sustain fulfilling relationship both in and out of work. Emotion expression is our ability to express our emotions. So these four facets will comprise of this emotionality factor. So this is also very important in our day-to-day life, how we deal with people, how we deal with a client, how we deal with a subordinate, how we deal with our students, how we deal with my supervisor. Last but not the least is the sociability factor. This describes our capacity to socialize, to manage, and to communicate with others. It consists of three facets like emotion management, assertiveness, and social awareness. Emotion management basically, is our capacity to manage other people's emotional stress. Assertiveness is how forthcoming we are and the degree to which we stand up for our own rights. So this is assertiveness. Social awareness is our capacity to feel comfortable in social context and how we behave in the presence of people we do not know well. So these are basically the 5 different facets. So 5 different facets having so many different internal facets. Like there are 15 facets here. So let's see how we reflect it. So once again, I'm telling you why, because this must be really understood. Adaptability, self-motivation. Adaptability is how effective you are at adapting to new environments and conditions and dealing with change. Self-motivation is the extent to which a person is driven by the need to produce work. Well-being factor, the 3 facets: happiness, optimism, self-esteem. Happiness means how content and good you feel about the present situation. Optimism, how positive you feel about the future. Self-esteem, how confident you are and your levels of self-respect. Self-control, again, how you regulate external pressure, stress and impulses. Like you can have emotion regulation, which is your capacity to regulate your emotions, stay focused and remain calm in upsetting situations. Next, we have the impulse control, whether you think before you act, if you give into urges or take hasty decisions. Stress management is how well you manage pressures and stresses. Next is emotionality. This describes your capacity to perceive and express emotions and how you use them to develop and sustain relationship with others. There comes 4 different facets, like empathy, which is your capacity to understand other people's viewpoints and if you take their feelings into account. Emotion perception is your capacity to understand your own and other people's emotions. Emotion expression is your capacity to express your emotions. Relationships means your capacity to forge and sustain fulfilling relationships both in and out of work. Sociability will describe your capacity to socialize, to manage, and to communicate with others. Among this, we have emotion management, which is your capacity to manage other people's emotional states. Like, I'll give you one example. Many a times, as teachers, we counsel students. There are many students, I have counseled so many students in my life. Few were even a drug addict. And parents came to me and sought help. So how their emotions, how to judge other people's emotions. And these parents were coming to me and they cried a lot. I felt so bad about them, that the student is having this sort of trauma, this sort of problem. So understanding from the parents' perspective and how you are managing that student, how you are trying to bring him to the proper track, this is one of emotion management. Next is the assertiveness, how forthcoming you are and the degree to which you stand up for your own rights. There are many times, in your organization when something bad happens to you or something bad happens in your own environment, but you cannot speak up. So how assertive you are, how positive minded you are to speak up the truth. You're not afraid. You're not afraid of losing your job. You're not afraid of losing your friend, but you're speaking up the truth. So that is assertiveness. Next is social awareness, your capacity to feel comfortable in social context and how you behave in the presence of people you do not know well. There will be many people, when you first go to your class, the very first day, the very first batch, You do not know them well. How you behave with them, the very first day, the way you behave with them, the way you motivate them, the way you talk, the way you move around the classroom, you are the leader over there, and the students are looking at you. So this is your social awareness. Now, how do we look at the traits as a whole? These traits as a whole can serve to give some meaning to our emotional intelligence level and bring out our character. As an example, you see here, I've given you here an example. High assertiveness plus low impulse control can be seen as highly directive and possible aggressive. See, high assertiveness and low impulse control. What is the meaning of this? That means you are standing up for your own right. You're very positive, but you have low impulse control. You cannot control your impulse. You are reactive. So, as I said, these are not all the bad traits. These are some of the traits that you have. And how you place them, depending on the environment. There are times when assertiveness is required. There are times where low impulse control is also required. But this depends or varies from situation to situation. So this can be seen as highly directive. Since you are assertive, that means you are highly directive. And low impulse control means you cannot control your emotion, you are reactive. So people will see you as an aggressive person. But not always this is true, but there may be some situations where this is really needed. Next, I will give you another example. High empathy and low emotion regulation would show that emotions run high and are visible to all. See here, you have high empathy for others. Empathy means you are having some sympathy for others. And you have low emotion regulation. So you have very high emotion, and that can be seen by people. But you have, if you have your high empathy and high emotion regulation, then even if you are understanding other people's behavior, you are acting in that manner, but it is not visible to people. So you are actually regulating your emotion. Next point is low empathy and high emotional management. You see here, you can manage other people's feelings without recognizing the impact. See, low empathy. You're not understanding the impact, but you are managing the people's feelings very well. So these are some of the examples. We must really understand what facets of EQ are beneficial to our role in our organization, family, or social gathering. Accordingly, you can train yourself. So what facets are beneficial to your role? What do you think? What do you think? As an instance, you can see that in a time of driving change, a combination of high adaptability, high relationships, and low empathy would work well. See here, driving change. This is very important. As I talked about moving from physical classes to online classes during this pandemic, this was really a time of driving change. Here, the person who is in the leadership position should have high adaptability, should have high relationships, and low empathy. So this is one example. To manage and maintain quality improvements, you can have low adaptability, high assertiveness, and low relationships. Understood? So in order to develop our EQ, we must conduct self-reflection that would allow us to understand our own EQ. Team reflection would help us to consider the impact of EQ of others. EQ and IQ together would allow us to display behaviors appropriate for a specific environment or event. So I'm again giving you, so this is again one task. So there are actually three different, I found out 3 different websites where you can test your emotional intelligence. So let's see. So this is one. This is one. It will give you like this. This will, if you go there, it will give you like this sort of thing. So this is a very short type. Then this one is the one which I was talking about. This is my emotional intelligence that I tested on December 20. So here you can see that I scored like this here. Self-awareness is 9, self-management is 8, social awareness is 10, and relationship management is 9. So I have improved upon this self-management. It was very low when I tested myself 3 years back, but now it has improved a lot. So what is self-awareness? This basically is the core of emotional intelligence, and it's comprised of basically 3 competencies. Emotional self-awareness, where you are able to read and understand your emotions, as well as recognize their impact on work performance and relationships. Accurate assessment, where you are able to give a realistic evaluation of your strengths and limitations, and self-confidence, where you have a positive and strong sense of one's self-worth. Then you have the self-management. It's comprised of 5 competencies like self-control, which is keeping disruptive emotions and impulses under control. Transparency, which is maintaining standards of honesty and integrity. Managing yourself and responsibilities. And adaptability, which is a flexibility in adapting to changing situations and overcoming obstacles. Achievement orientation, which is the guiding drive to meet an internal standard of excellence. And initiative, which is a readiness to seize opportunities and act. Next, we have the social awareness. We already touched upon social awareness. This is empathy, then organizational awareness, build decision network, and negative politics, service orientation. So these are the few competencies of social awareness. And last but not the least is the relationship management. The social cluster of relationship management is comprised of 7 competencies. Visionary leadership, which is inspiring and guiding groups and individuals. Developing others, which is to strengthen and support the abilities of others. And likewise, there are 7 different. So this I have got from that website, the Global Leadership Foundation. You can also test yourself. And this is the one which will give you an overall. Right now, I'm telling you, like I will be holding another master class on emotional intelligence for the AICT and UKD program during 18 to 21 of this month. There, this basically I will give you this one to as a task, since today I don't think we will have time, but still you can try. So there are 15 facets that I told you, and based on those 15 facets, you can understand where your level is. If it is, see, for happiness, if it is below 29, you can think that you are taking life too seriously, and can be seen as hard work. If your score is between 30 and 69, then you are generally content and feel good about yourself. Okay. But if you are having above 70, then you are super satisfied with your life. And it can be seen as too happy and therefore not concerned enough about current issue. So that is also a negative point you see here. So I'm telling you, it's not always, if you are having above average score, it means that you are having a very good EQ. You must understand these things. So it is better to have, for this happiness, it is better to have between 30 and 69. Because then you will be thinking about the current issue also. But if you are too much satisfied with life, you will not, you are taking life very easily, and you are not enough concerned with the current issue. Likewise, there are various things, optimism, self-esteem. So you can get an understanding from this. I will share the PPT with you. From this, you can get an understanding where you belong to. So these are again other parts. Let's look at this emotion expression. If it is below 29, it means maybe good at hard negotiations, can be seen as cold. So you are very you're not expressing your emotion. It's a very cold person. if it is average, you see, average perceived ability means like you're having a value between 30 and 69. You are having average perceived ability to express one's emotions, normally able to express how one feels, although at times one may become inhibited and fail to find the right words. But if you are having above 70, you can communicate how you feel to others. Others may exploit your weakness. So this is again a bad point, you know. See, you are expressing your emotion too much if you are having above 70. So if you are in a bad gathering, people may exploit your weaknesses. So it's better to be in this band. So like this, uh, so let me give you that test. Um, See, I have given you 3 different links. The last one is actually the one which I was explaining, but it will take 45 minutes to complete. And we are in this project, like I will be designing this software. I have already started doing this software, because if you go there in the website, you will find that they are giving you only one line sentence, but you have to pay $10 to get that. So I've taken it as an initiative to do this project so that I can give it free of cost to anybody who's attending my session. So this one is, I don't think you can get much out of it, but you can try out the first two. So please try out the first two. It will not take much time. You can finish it within the prescribed time. So this global leadership, the second point, you go ahead with the global leadership, you can get an understanding. Please do it. Professor Shujata, is it there? Are they able to get it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
ma'am. The links are accessible.
yeah, so please ask them to go to either one or two, because the third one they will not, it will be fruitless because they will charge money.
Okay. Dear participants, please try on the first two links. So there are quizzes. Yes, participants. One of the participant has responded in the chat box. Others also, please try.
Please try with Global Leadership Foundation. That will give you a comprehensive output. The first one will not give you any comprehensive output. The second one will give you a comprehensive output. Kindly go to second one, second link. During the time of filling up the quiz, please do not think that whichever is correct. Please think what you are. Otherwise, you will not get the correct result. Since we have learned here what is a good EQ, if we give that particular thing, then we will not get the proper result. All are getting good EQ. Very good. Can anybody write the result of Global Leadership Foundation? What is your, what are the 4 values? Self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship management. I would request you to write down that, because that is giving you a better in-depth equation. Kindly go to that link, the second link. It will take some time, 10 minutes time. The second link. Okay, one of you, Anand, very good. Archana. This basically will reflect your personality, emotional quotient, and if you want to improve upon it, what to do. As I said, not always having above average emotional quotient means that you are very good, you are acceptable, and you are positive. That doesn't mean. So, based on the characteristics of below average, average, and above average, you can think how you can enhance your emotional quotient to better suit your workplace. Very good, Anup Patil. You have a very good social awareness of 10 and relationship management of 9. Very good. Anup Patil, can you just unmute yourself? Can you just unmute yourself and tell me about what will you do with your self-awareness and self-management? Anup Patil.
Hello.
Yeah, Anup Patil.
Yes,
Yeah.
Mohuya.
Yeah, Professor, can you just tell me what will you do with your self-awareness? You have written some value. So do you think that it is you want to enhance upon it, or what do you want to do as per your role in your
So basically, initially, I want to ask one question to you. Okay,
yes.
whatever the values we are getting over here. So like I got for self awareness is 6, self management is 6, and social awareness 10, and manage relationship as a 9. Okay, so on which basis these values are coming over here?
Yeah, I'm telling you, see, they have basically given you some questions, right?
Right.
So this is basically a psychology test. So based on those questions, these people they have categorized, like these are the questions that fall into the self-awareness. These are the questions that fall into self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. And accordingly, they have given some value. As I told you, whatever is reflected is not the measurable one, measurable EQ. It is whatever is displayed over there, but it is basically giving you the traits and your capabilities, your traits and capabilities. And based on the traits and capabilities, they have created a model. They have given you these values. So you can get I would not say that this is the exact value that you have, but you can more or less I can understand that this is your self-awareness.
All right. Like so, for social awareness, I'm getting 10. That means whatever the
Yes.
what I think about the others or how I behave with others. Okay, on the basis of that, this particular score is coming
Yes.
along with the relationship as well.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Got
Yes.
it. Got it. Yeah. Thank you.
So as I said, I am also creating a model. Maybe it will be prepared in 2 weeks' time before my next program. So I'm trying to design that thing. So basically, this is a psychology test.
Yeah. So actually, it will be very difficult to get the exact number on the basis of those questions. So that is the point.
Yes. So it requires a lot of study also, lot of
Yeah.
study and understanding. From
Because
the
the individual perspective is different. Okay, so we
yes.
cannot judge the perspective of one people from the another, so that's we need to take care.
So you have given here a very important understanding to me also, that like what I can do my in my model. There are 16 personality types. So based on the personality type, this emotional quotient again may change. So if your personality type is one of diplomat or something else, then what will be the self-awareness? What is the actual or ideal self-awareness? that can be mapped.
Okay. Okay.
So I was thinking, so thank you very much for
Thank you,
giving
ma'am.
this suggestion. I will incorporate that into my model.
Yeah. Thank you.
Shubhangi, are you there, Shubhangi?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you have written your relationship management is 10. Do you really think that you have a very good relationship management with others?
Yes, ma'am. I do think so.
What do you do? You can you share it, because others will ask.
I just don't do anything. I just try and understand whatever people are saying. If they are discussing their problems with me, I carefully listen to them, and to my capacity, I try and solve them.
Okay.
Like while in the working environment, and same is true in my family background, like kind of. I don't go and ask, but if people come to me and they want to share something, then I definitely give a very good listening ear.
So that is really awesome, because you have social awareness also, it is 9. That means you are acceptable. You are acceptable within your organization, within your family. People are coming to you with their problems. Very good. But what about your self management? It is
That
pretty low.
I like. I know why they are less marks over there, because I don't have my personal goals. Like I want to do this and in this much particular time. It's okay. Like if I don't achieve anything for myself, I don't mind. So maybe that self management I got less marks.
Okay, that is absolutely okay, perfect, because we respect everybody's ideas. But things have changed, and if
Yeah,
you
I know.
things have changed, and people in the past used to think that whatever I do it for the others. So that is my
No,
desire.
it is not. It is not that selflessness. I work for myself, but that is not the top priority thing. That is not the first thing that I will think of when I get up in the morning. Like I have to do or I have to achieve something is not the first thing that will come to my mind. I normally go ahead with like I don't have very strong personal goals. Maybe that is why that self management marks are less.
Okay.
Like when I was attempting those questions, I could get that if I answer it realistically over here, I'm going to get less marks than I was knowing.
So that doesn't matter, because you will know your true self. That's why I told you, you just write whatever true thing you are. Don't write, go for idealistic answers. Just think what you are. You will be able to. But right now, I have heard lots about the spiritualism, and so I like all these things. So people nowadays, they are saying that first you love yourself, you please yourself. If you cannot please yourself, you will not be able to please others. So that is the thing that has cropped up nowadays, as I am going through social media and all, and various spiritual hearings. So what do you think about that?
For me, madam, I'm more believer in Gita. Like Karmanyeva Adhikaraste Ma Phaleshu Kadachan is what I have believed my entire life. Like I am now near to retirement. So
okay.
So that is the way I have lived my whole life. I have never minded all these things when even I was 24 or 25 years old. So it's okay. But thank you so much for asking.
No, fully respect your idea. Fully respect your idea. But each one of us, we have our own ideas, we have ideologies, we have our thinking, thought process totally is different. That's why I gave you those personality types. There are 16 personality types. Based on those personality types, so not a single person, you cannot link one person with the other. Even if you are in the same profession, even if you are in the same family, you cannot link one with the other. So that is
I got some advocate over there.
Oh, you got advocate. That's good. That's good.
Okay.
So based on that, your emotionality quotient will change. Actually, you cannot. That's why I told you in the beginning that I cannot say that you are right, you are wrong. Nothing is right, nothing is wrong.
Right.
So that way, actually, it happens. And
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
thank you very much. So, anybody else wants to know anything, because it's already time, 1:30, and I think I had a lovely session with all of you, and I liked the session. Thank you very much, the organizers and audience. If you have any question, you can ask me.
It was indeed a very lovely and interactive session, ma'am. Thank you so much for engaging the participants.
Thank you.
And yes, participants, please kindly ask your queries. Ma'am is here.
See, somebody has asked me how to improve relationship management. See, I cannot
Yes.
tell you how you can improve the relationship management. Like one person, like Professor Shubhangi was telling that she has a very good relationship management. She has devoted her life for others. So that, it depends upon your personality type, what person you are. And actually, we are born with that type of personality. As I know, I have come across many of these spiritual, like many of the hearings of Sister Shivani. Also, I am a fan of Sister Shivani. So, as I come to know that a person who is born in one family, see, the father and the mother, they have their own traits. They think that their child will also have traits, their traits, but it's not so. The child may be born with a completely different trait. But why is this so? Because we are born with, like, we have our own karma. So that, again, when we are born, if you believe or not, somebody believes, somebody, some of you may not believe that we are having this is basically our, like, clothes. We are into one clothes. We are born, we are leading the life, we are having our own karma, and based on this karma, we are having our future. What will be our future will depend on what we are now. So that is totally different. How you improve the relationship management, you have to understand yourself. I'm not a guru in that. I can only lead you towards knowing that if you have to have a good relationship management, how to you read books, you go through websites, you can see. Because I do not know what role you play in your organization, what role you play in your family. So this relationship management is also very, very different from place to place, from person to person. So that way you can develop yourself. Any other question?
Yes, participants, kindly unmute and ask your questions, or you can type in chat box as well.
Ma'am, I would like to add something.
Yes.
As you're telling that every person is born with some personality, but normally the environment around the respective child matters a lot, because the environment in which the respective child is born and brought up, okay, and the traits for the parents, okay, automatically will be transferred to that particular respective child. So mostly, my observation is like this.
Yeah, you are absolutely true, Professor Patil. But environment matters a lot. But you are born with some traits that you cannot disregard. So this becomes actually a combination of what your environment is, in which family you belong to, and what you are born with. So all these will make a new you. So that what I believe. I believe.
Excuse me, ma'am. I have a question. May I ask?
Yeah.
in general, whatever you said was so it inspires me to know how other humans behave and think. So if somebody wants to start their journey into psychology, maybe human behavior or something like that, even at this stage, maybe like I am in my 30s, so if I want to study about that, where do I start from? Like, which book you might recommend?
See, I'm not a guru in that. I'm telling you, see, I have not learned about psychology in my life, in my entire life. I can tell you that I fell in love with this subject few years back, mostly in 2018. Before that, I was not aware of this subject, only when I got selected for this AICT UKD program. This is an initiative from Dudley College, London. They selected me, and we had this session of leadership and management. Then I started learning, so I did not go through any books, but I underwent that certification program, and this is a part of this emotional intelligence is only a part of that leadership program. I liked it so much that I did not read any book, but I have gone through many websites. I went through these personality links to understand myself better and to enhance my qualities so that I improve upon my qualities and I become successful in whatever career I have in my family, with my daughter, and with my in-laws, with my father, mother, brother. So I was in love with this subject. That's why I underwent that, and together with that, I started following Sister Shivani. Sister Shivani, her words inspired me a lot. And I did not find reading any books, but I went through all these for the past 3 years. And I had a meaning in my life. So I understood everything now. Prior to this, this understanding the feeling of birth, feeling of death, feeling of love. When I lost my father, I did not think that I would be able to live without my father. He passed away in 2020 in January. So this will be 2 years. Prior to that, when he was sick, I did not understand how to cope up with that situation. But after going through all this processing in my brain, now I am able to think that he had lived his life. He was born there to lead his life, to be with me, to lead me where I am now. And he has gone to a different place now. But I have a direct connection with my father. Every time I think of him, so I do not feel bad about my father going away now. I think that he has gone to a place where he belongs. Now he will again lead his own life over there, and again, this is a journey. I'm thinking my life in that fashion now. I've also gone through, so people go through hardships in my work life also. I've coped up with all situations after going through these phases, because it's not only important, I understand fully that it's not only important to be very much conversant in what the subject, in the subject matter. That means you are a subject matter expert. Maybe I am expert in network security. I work in the field of blockchain technology. So I'm working with so many students. I'm working with many organizations also. I'm a research consultant. But how to be in that position? You must be emotionally very much stable. So it was the 3-year journey that I had. And now I'm much more stable in my life.
Thank you for sharing that. Actually, I am facing the same thing, and I understand. I am also referring to Brahma Kumari's video, like you said, Sister Shivani's video, Sadhguru video, because I lost my sister this June. And I understand whatever you said is the same thing I'm going through and trying to be emotionally stable while handling my personal relation, professional relations. So I understand that. I asked this question because of that incident, I wanted to know how my brain works and how can I control myself and my emotions. So that's why I asked you if I should refer any book or what you did and what was your process. So thank you for sharing that.
And one thing I can tell you, the person who is going away in the deathbed, do not try to tell God that he should stay with me, because that way he will not be able to move away from you, because he or she has an attachment with you. So let him go away. If there is no possibility of his or her living in this world, then we should let that person go away peacefully. And that happened with my father also. He was in the ventilation in ICU for almost one month. So lastly, we had to take him out of the ventilation. I, along with my brother, we took the decision that he's actually not happening. He will never revive back, and he was in so much of pain. We could understand that he was given dialysis after dialysis, but he could not take it. And he was unconscious, but we could see that he was biting in the unconscious state. He was biting the pipe of that particular dialysis instrument. So we could not see that thing. So doctors told us that we are again, he will be again under observation. So he told us what to do, and we gave the permission that we should keep him out of this ventilation. So that is life, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for sharing. Yeah.
Feel sad. I'm telling all of you, I have gone through that phase. Don't feel sad. You will come out of that phase. Have faith in God. Have faith in yourself. And I have, Sadhguru is very good. And one young person is, I don't remember this. Forgot the name
Sandeep
of that person.
Maheshwari. I have read like every video.
Yeah, he's good. He's very good. He works. He talks so nicely. I really like watching his videos.
Yeah. So I know the process. Yeah, I am going through that same thing now. Yeah, it will take time, and time is the best healer.
Yeah, time is. I have passed through that process. Almost it's 2 years. Okay. Thank you all of you for sharing. And I really liked this session very much. And I have to tell you that this is my first non-technical session with any audience. This is my first non-technical session. And I really grabbed this opportunity. I'm thankful to Professor Sujata Kulkarni for inviting me, because I have been delivering talks on numerous technical topics, but this is my first venture into emotional intelligence. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and most welcome from our side as well. And we have not felt for even a second that this is your first non-technical talk. This was so engaging. So we were like going through all the links, checking what is the quiz, what kind of questions are there, what our results are going to be, and we can see from the chat box participants were also active all the time. They are just typing everything. You can see the chat box. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation. Just wait for a minute, ma'am. Yes. Is my screen visible, ma'am?
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah. So, ma'am, kindly accept this token of gratitude from our organizing committee. We are just presenting this to you, and we'd love to have you in our institute whenever situation permits during this COVID. We don't know what is going to happen, but we'd love to have you over here for technical, non-technical, any kind of session you would like to. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Yes, participants, so this is going to be our lunch break. Please enjoy your lunch and come back in time.